Now we're gonna do an oil change. First oil change. I got a 2022 CF Moto 300 NK. It's actually been a really good bike. I've really enjoyed it. I had to go with the blue. The blue had a painted frame on it. It looked really sharp on there. And then the best thing about this bike I really enjoyed is the fuel economy on it. I'm averaging 108.6 miles to the gallon, which is pretty remarkable. I'm a little overdue on my oil change. I got 768. Should have done it at 600. But it's been busy, so better late than never. So the first thing you got to do on it is you got to remove the little fairing on the front. Now it's pretty simple. It's just 4 bolts. You take that off. I'm just using my T-handles, so it makes life easy on it. It's a 5mm. Is what the size for that guy was. And then should be pretty simple on it. You got your drain plug on the left side, driver's side. It's gonna be right back here. That size is a 17mm socket, and then for the other side, you're gonna have 3 bolts to take off for your oil filter right over here, and that's gonna be an 8mm socket. Oil capacity on this with oil filter should be like 1.5 quarts, a little over that because I think it calls 1.4 liters, so should be pretty simple. The oil I'm using, it's the Yamalube. I went with a 1050 weight. I think next time I'll probably go with the 1040 though. I've always had good luck with 1040 on all my other previous motorcycles. And I got my little oil filter over here. It's a little guy. And that's just the CF Moto. That probably took the longest to get in. They had a special order of that. So hopefully these bikes become a little more popular out here. They get a little more part support. And I've been really thrilled with it. Hoping maybe next year that they come out with that 450 SR. That'd be a pretty fun bike to have. But other than that, I've been loving this bike. So let me get my socket and everything, and then we'll get going. Alright, so here we're just going to go ahead and drain the oil. That son of a gun was on there tight. I also have some brake cleaner too. It's always a good idea because more than likely we're going to have a little bit of oil that gets on this exhaust right here, and I'm personally not a fan of having that smell burn, so we'll clean that up pretty good after we get this all drained out. I do wish that the dealer would have supplied a new copper washer for me. You know, I've always been a big fan of reusing, or not reusing those guys. I like to replace them every time. That way I don't have any kind of oil leaks or anything like that. So we're just gonna let that drain. That should be pretty quick. Not much oil on this little guy. And just make sure you dispose your oil correctly. I have to say that because I'm on YouTube. So, you know, any O'Reilly's, Napa, I think they all have used oil containers you can put in. Most automotive shops will also take the used oil. I would know, you know, I take a lot of customers used oil because right now we make money on used oil. So when they come pick it up, it's kind of a win-win for everybody. You get rid of all that nasty stuff. So we'll let that drain and we'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so just about finished draining all that. One thing I always like to double check too with the magnetic tips on the drain plugs. You know, just to make sure I don't got any chunks of metal or anything. But I got a little bit of shave-ins from the break-in, nothing too crazy to worry about on there. I'll get that cleaned up so that way you can re-inspect next oil change and make sure she's still looking good. And like I was saying earlier too, I didn't like that exhaust being right there because all that oil is going to drip on it. So if you can tell, and I don't like that smell when it gets hot, so you know, it is a good idea to get a can of brake clean and kind of get all that cleaned up real quick. Okay. Now we're going to put the drain plug back in and we'll get the oil filter changed out. Alright, now we're back on the other side. This is the right side, passenger side. And we're going to get that oil filter taken off. And that's the 8mm. I should have used a smaller socket for it, but I'll get those off real quick and get right back to you. Alright, so I got the new oil filter. just because it's the first one I did, kind of just made sure I compared. So yeah, filter did its job. I'm gonna put that guy back in there now. And then we gotta just start reassembling. Slap this little guy in here. And then we'll just start with our fingers on the getting the threads going. And then we'll tighten it up. And then we'll have to throw some oil in it and then be ready to ride today. And it is Sunday, so it's a good day to ride. Alright, so got everything for the most part tight. Just going through and make sure everything's snug on there. Now, I don't know the torque specs, but use common sense. You don't want to over tighten it where it rips the threads out. So just you want it nice and snug. That way you're not having issues next oil change you come out. Okay, now we just got to put some oil in it. So you got your little reminder here, but it's all in liters. So just remember, convert your quarts to liters. And then when we get enough oil in it, one thing that's really nice is Kawasaki's KTMs, they have these little hourglasses. So it's cool, you can see in there. You don't have to use a dipstick going back and forth. And like I was saying earlier, so got the Yamalube motorcycle oil 1050. Next time I'll probably go with the 1040, but 1050's got a good range for the temperatures. Out here in New Mexico, we got the extreme heat and then the extreme cold, but I don't picture really riding in the cold. I'm too old for that now. And we're just gonna fill her up real quick. Start with it. So I got it started just for a little bit. Just want to circulate that oil through the rest of the motor since got it all drained out. And then now we're double check on our little glass over here. So stand her up straight, and then let's see what the glass reveals. So we got oil. It's a little dirty, sorry guys, I should have cleaned that. Alright, so you can see we got our mark here for full, and then oil rose up here, so we're at the correct level, so we're all set on it. I'll probably let it run for a little bit just to make sure you don't got any leaks, and then I'll show you how to reset the oil light as well. Alright, and to reset that oil light, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your settings, information. So you got to hold the up arrow and then the enter button for a little bit, and then it's going to prompt you to reset it eventually. There it goes. Reset service, confirm that, and then there we go. So we're 3,000 miles till the next service. I will probably do it sooner than that. Oil is cheap insurance. And we're just gonna start her, double check, make sure we don't have any oil leaks coming from over here at the drain plug. Everything looks good there. Everything's good on your oil filter. So we just gotta reinstall these guys here, that front bearing cover, and it's time to go ride. All right, just the last piece. We gotta put the little front fairing back on there. So again, using the T-handle, 5mm. This one's pretty simple. Just have the 4 bolts up here and then 2 on the other side. And then we'll get one of riding here in just a minute.